Hold on one second. I see my battery's about to die. Oh,
Oh, Evelyn, you're a mess, girl.
oh girl, I'm just literally off of work
You
with
have a
the kids.
toddler. You have a
Yeah,
toddler. You get all the passes in the world.
it's quite unfortunate. Hold on, I'll be right back. Give me one second.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine 43 and a toddler?
She says, quite unfortunate.
No, I cannot imagine.
I'm
No,
struggling
I cannot.
hard over here, like legitimately hard over here with
But
the two
it's
of them
the
I
norm
got.
now. So many women are having kids in their 40s and mid 40s. It's
Yeah.
actually really common. When I was
Yeah.
going in for my outpatient procedure, they all thought that I was trying to get pregnant. I'm like, I'm 43. They were like, yeah, so is that what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing? I was like, dude, no. They were like, well, then why are you doing this? I'm like, because I don't want fibroids, because they hurt and I'm bleeding a lot. Not because I want to get pregnant. They were all thinking that's why I wanted to keep my uterus. I'm like, okay.
Little do they
Because
know Raquel's been trying to
apparently
give it up for 20 years.
for 20 years, 30 years, 43 years, I was born with the notion of no children. But like I was there and they were just like, oh, and your chances are so high now. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, wait, time out. What do you mean they're high now? They're like, you have
Mm-hmm.
to
Why are
be
we
careful
talking?
now. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yep. Yep. I was told the same thing. They
Mm.
All
said,
right, listen.
it's higher now than it was before.
Yeah, even though it's a lot harder to get pregnant at this
Yeah.
age, it's still a
And to keep
higher
it.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
God
my
forbid,
gosh.
God forbid, God forbid, God forbid.
I don't know how I'd
Not
but there's
gonna
things you got to do to get pregnant. I ain't doing that either. So I really talk
Well,
about
there's a lot to
immaculate
discuss
conception.
on my end on that one.
Talk about immaculate conception. I'd be on my hands and knees praying, let alone doing anything else. So, oh my God. Oh my goodness, you guys. All right. So, to everybody, there is something powerful about us women in our 40s. We've lived, we're still living, we've loved, we still love, and we've lost and still have the capacity for that too. And we continue learning. And now we're finally starting to choose ourselves. But that journey, it's not always pretty. It hasn't been always pretty because while everybody talks about the confidence, the boundaries, the not giving a fuck energy, nobody really talks about what's happening behind the scenes, the hormones, the emotional shifts, the changes in our bodies, the way we parent, the way we show up in relationships, the way we see ourselves. It's a whole different phase of life. And a lot of us are figuring it out seriously in real time. So today, I am not doing this alone. I've got women I love with me, my friends, my sister, and we're having a real honest conversation about all of it. So, welcome to this episode of the Prosecco Queens podcast, everybody. We are talking to returning loves of my life, Raquel, and my sister Gina. And I want to welcome one of my friends from my entire life that took me like 20 years to talk to her again for some crazy reason, Evelyn, who again known our entire lives. So we have all been entwined for many, many, many years on and off. And I have to tell you, ladies, not only do I thank you for being here because this is a really interesting, intimate conversation. We're really kind of putting ourselves out there. I do this all the time, so for me, it's like screw it, whatever. I know there's a lot of people who don't listen to it because of that, and good for them. So I'm looking forward to this conversation because it's stuff that we talk about anyway, and I think it's really important that we, understand as a group what's happening, what happens to all of us, and why we're here. It's a different generation than the generations before us where this stuff wasn't talked about. And as you suffered in silence. And I think now it's really important that we don't do that because it's not always suffering, of course, but we do know that there's that part as well. As I'm sitting here sweating my ass off just for no apparent reason, just because. And this is my life now. It's like I'm in puberty again. And so we all have different things that we're all in different phases of our life, different things that we bring to the table. We're all professional women, right? Every single one of us is a professional woman in the professional world, and we're steering into that. And some of us are looking to wanting to start over, wanting to do something else, saying enough is enough with the bullshit. And so I want to thank you, ladies, again for being here, for having this discussion, because it's just important. The other thing I did want to mention before we start really is part of I want to make sure we're not throwing shade, right, at any other generations, right? Not the youngers in their 30s, not the olders in their 50s and 60s, because this is important. for every age. I think for us, though, we're in a really interesting decade of our lives. We're in a real interesting time of our lives because we are in transition in so many ways and just starting transition in every phase of our life. And that's really important. You know, we're not past that brink yet where we're like, oh, that was so long ago. And we're not looking up going, you know what? I still got a long way to go to that. There's just different angles that we can look at it. And we still, if God gives us life, I say it all the time, I feel like I could go another 110 years. That's a long time, but screw it. Why the hell not? Who knows what science will bring up, right? As long as I look good. That's it. So, ladies, the first question I want to ask, and you can just jump in or we can say one at a time, is for all of us, what was the shift? When you hit 40, 41, I know, Gina, you just kind of hit 40 this year. Something, I know for me, something happened. There was like a mindset shift. And for me, again, a lot of people know that's also when I kicked the fool out and I had to really start over with my kids from the ground up again. So for me, I had no choice but to say, okay, I have no choice but to now start over. So for any of you, Raquel, I'll start with you. Did you feel a shift, whether it was physical, mental, emotional, whatever it was, whether you hit 40 or after, where you're just kind of like, yo, F this?
Definitely. It started really in my late 30s, but the shift was amplified, I want to say, when I was about 41. I'm 43 now, and I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. I did seek guidance from my older cousin who is 48. And she was like, girl, you are in what she calls Peri Ellis. It's a joke that we have, a running joke, the Peri Ellis, and it's perimenopause. And I'm like, but I thought that happened after like 45 or like when you're like 48. She was like, no,
Mhm.
you've probably been experiencing it for a few years now. I paid attention. I went down the rabbit hole. I read into it, and I'm like, wow, I'm deep in it. Then I asked my mom, which she has like no memory of anything. And she was like, oh, yeah, I got full-blown menopause at 45. I'm like, so that means that I am deep in it right now. Um, the shift came with a lot of weight gain that I
Mm.
couldn't shake off.
Yep.
Um, also fibroids, a lot of fibroids. And I also have what's PMDD, premenstrual dysmorphic disorder, which also was amplified. Luckily, I am on medication. SSRI is something that I'm taking to help with that, which is used as off-label specifically for PMDD. However, it's it has gotten worse with age, and I know for a fact it's the perimenopause or it's like an overlap. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Some days I'm just like, what new charms are gonna come out of this life? So I noticed the big shift at 41. So it's been 2 years of hell. I am currently on track to find a good doctor that will prescribe me an appropriate amount of HRT. And I could go on about that, but I'll wait for that later about the doctors. But yes, the
Yeah.
shift happened at 41 mentally. I realized that I wanted to stop people pleasing and not feel so guilty
Mm.
anymore, not doing the things that I didn't want to do, and actually just allowing people to be upset with me and saying it's okay because somebody's
Yep.
going to be upset regardless, so
Doesn't matter.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yep.
The boundaries of wanting to choose me over everyone else happened, and just really wanting to spend a lot of alone time. I never thought of
Yes.
myself as an antisocial person at all, and now I do. I'm like, who am I? It's
The
like I'm a
best
different
and the
human.
best was it extroverted introvert. That's how I
Yes,
see it. Yeah.
yes. I'm very
Yep.
selective now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm extroverted. I take a long time to bring back myself to peace and center myself, unlike before. I guess it was just going, going, going without the
Yeah.
time to reflect. So, yeah, it started in my late 30s, but I really felt a huge shift physically and mentally at 41. And I can't say it's gotten any better, but at least I understand it now versus when I was
Yeah.
41. I was like, what the hell's going on? So,
Yeah.
41 was it.
I agree with that because especially the weight gain part, when I gained all the past 30 pounds that I've been struggling, it was because it came from a place of stress, right? And COVID and working 15 hours a day on the computer and all those things. And I'm like, eventually, I'm like, fine, I do everything to try to get it off. I've exercised, whatever. And then my body's like, nah, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen the same way it did. So you start to explore all the different things of ways to make it happen because it's not going to anymore. Like, everything falls differently. Everything feels differently. Gina, for you, again, like I said, I know things have started obviously beforehand. Like I said, we're talking late 30s into 40s and later, but you're the youngest in the panel here. So, so for you, has there been a shift, even physically, but even mentally and emotionally specifically?
So my blood work, per the doctor, says I am technically not in perimenopause. However, my body and my symptoms will tell you otherwise. And this is something that luckily my doctor has been very understanding of. For those of listeners who have been with the show may already know that I am diagnosed with endometriosis, which is a chronic, incurable condition that can only be treated, similar to Raquel's condition. For years, because of this condition, I was on certain medications, procedures I had to try and fix or clean up, if you will, the situation. I can't say that there was any one particular moment or shift that happened. I think everything kind of happened slowly and sporadically. It wasn't like there was anything that happened for long enough that made me think, oh, this must be perimenopause. It was just over a significant amount of time. Now at 40, I can look back and say, oh, I think for the past couple years, that explains why I would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, that I have to actually change my pajamas, change the sheets, and just kind of having all of these symptoms. The hot flashes were a godsend because it meant that those were the nights I was actually sleeping, because when that wasn't the case, it was insomnia. It was and always is for me brain fog, right? And we joke our whole lives about like, oh, Gina has the memory of a goldfish, which I'm not denying, but it feels so much more amplified. When I would lay down in a certain position, I'm a side and a stomach sleeper. When I would lay down on my stomach, I would start to feel the palpitations. And I wouldn't understand where this is coming from, like this flutter. And then the flutter made it hard to breathe. And at the time I was just always by myself. There was nobody to kind of talk to. And so in those moments where I would wake up in the middle of the night in a panic because my chest is beating or I'm sweating or, just not really knowing. The latest development for me is I'm back on birth control. It was a decision that I put off for a very, very long time for reasons that I'm realizing now how much deeper the reasons go. So I guess I'll just let it all out here on the podcast. For many years, I was in a committed relationship with the person that I thought was the one. I thought we wanted the same things. And so I chose not to be on birth control with the idea of if it happens, it happens, because we want the same thing and we want that same future. Now I'm not in that relationship anymore. I got to the point where Raquel just made a good point of saying, you have to start to put yourself first.
Yeah.
And so I had to make the decision, okay, so what is it that I'm doing this for? Why am I not back on birth control? Because I wasn't really doing that just for me. It was because I thought that there was a chance that by doing this, I could give someone else what I thought they wanted, even more than what I knew whether or not I wanted for myself to begin with. That's a whole other rabbit hole we don't have to dive into right now.
Oh no, that's definitely for later in the episode too, because there's a lot of differences with all
But
of
yeah,
us
there's
with
like lots of
those things too.
layers.
Yeah.
There's lots of overlap, and so I can say now I maybe about 2 months. I'm about 2 to 2.5 months back on birth control. I'm feeling more regulated. I'm not having the same kind of symptoms that I had. And I'm overall feeling better. I do still have my moments of brain fog. I do get headaches. I do have my nights where I'm not sleeping. And sure, some of that can be stress and life related, but I think a lot of it also does have to do with our changing hormones. So I don't know. And the newest thing too is that my cholesterol is high for the first time
Yeah.
ever. It's never ever been high.
Yeah.
And I just learned, oh, guess what? That could also be because of Perry. So there's
Yeah.
that.
It's so amazing what
So
women go
cheers.
through. Cheers. Let me tell you, because let me tell you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. You know, it's not, I think we all need to take a sip too. We just started. Let me tell you.
It's blurred. You can't see it.
And on
It
top
warrants.
of that, let's think about also insulin resistance. That's
Yeah,
another
insulin-
thing that happens, which
And that's,
also has happened to me in
Me
other
too.
news. So much
Yep.
fun.
which heightens your triglycerides. Hello. So it's those things that it's true. Like we don't, and what's interesting is you can have an entire, just a pure episode on perimenopause, because it's unbelievable how a doctor will look at you and say, I had my same doctor who birthed both my children say to me, oh no, your period's still regular, you're not in peri. I'm like, really? Really? I can tell you 1,000 times over, that's not the case. Like, I know, I may be in the beginning of it, but it wasn't until I asked about it that I find out my grandmother on my mother's side started at 42. I'm like, well, hello, I thought that'd be some good information. Now, what's interesting is now, Evelyn, we'll talk more about this part later on, but Evelyn is in a very fun part of her life because Evelyn has a toddler. So we're talking toddlers and perimenopause. That sounds like a freaking reality show. Forget toddlers and tiaras, toddlers and perimenopause. I thought teenagers and peri was rough and horrible changes. How the hell you're pulling this off? We were just talking about it in the pre-show chatter when you're just trying to get your shit together. And I'm like, this poor girl. I don't sleep and I don't really have anyone bothering me sleeping. So for you,
Yeah.
what is this journey been at this point, especially since your daughter's only 2?
Yeah, it's chaotic. It's definitely chaotic. A lot of pressure a lot of times. Like I said,
Move up a little bit. Move up a little bit if you
Mhm.
could to the mic.
Can you hear me better?
Perfect. Thank you.
It's just chaotic. I have terrible brain fog. I can't remember my name half the time. I also have to keep on top of a 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old who has a attitude of a 16-year-old at this point in time. So that also tests my patience. On top of that, life, I work full time. So that also adds to just the bog of the day. I mean, I feel like there's just no time for me, technically. I work 8 to 5. She comes home from daycare, then it's mom time. I gotta get dinner done. I gotta get the dishes done. I gotta get her to bed. I gotta get her. It's just insane. And by the time I get to really sit down, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm too tired. I can't even watch a show.
Yeah.
I can't concentrate on anything,
No.
darn thing. To put my favorite show on, nothing. I cannot concentrate on anything. The only thing I can do well is scrolling on the phone right now, which is terrible for me. But that's all I can maintain. That's all my brain capacity can take at this point. Um,
Because it's
it's
mindless.
it is. It's mindless.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. I didn't even have to think about a show. I just, I can scroll to the next thing, whatever. And I do look up a lot of things that like I have interest in. But again, perimenopause just hits me right in the ass and says, okay, where's the determination? Because I don't want to do anything. I have no determination to do anything, not even the things that I want to do. And there's days that and I can tell you today, this morning, I was so anxious. For what? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it literally, I get the anxiousness to the point paralyzes me. I cannot do
Yeah.
anything for the rest of the day. And
Yeah.
that's what kills me a little bit, because it's like, okay, now I feel like I wasted a day. But it's just mentally, my capacity can't take it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you have to do the dishes? Oh, well, I guess I'll do that tomorrow. Or like, if I
Yeah.
have to really get something done, I just can't. My mental capacity is like, no, thank you, not today. And
Yeah.
that happens some days. I just sit and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I trying to do for the day? And I just can't comprehend at all. I'm just like, like a deer caught in headlights. It's bizarre.
That's funny that you brought that up because it's something I've noticed. Like I've always had anxiety. We know that I've always had anxiety issues. I know Raquel, you could relate to that as well. Gina, I think yours just started at times recent, just in the past couple of years, maybe. But I know for a fact I've had it my whole life. But that you're completely correct about. That I feel like there have been moments, my anxiety over the past couple of years has heightened in the weirdest times, the weirdest ways. I was,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to sit there some days and I'm like, where did this, I have to sometimes take a step back and say, did something happen?
Right.
What is going on? Like, it's bad enough that you have the brain fog, which to me, I say renders me stupid 90% of the time. I'm sitting as in a leadership role at work in a freaking meeting and I'm losing my track of thought. And I'm like, sorry guys, come back to me. That it's bad enough to be a woman in these roles. It's bad enough to
Right.
be, the four of us can relate, a Latina in these roles, right? Where it's all, unfortunately, men and blanquitos all at the same time, right? For the most part. And you're
Mhm.
sitting there trying to prove you're not a moron and you know what you're talking about. And yet you're sitting there going, I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll come back. Come back to me. And in your head, you're going, oh my God, which then makes the anxiety worse.
Mhm.
Right? It's like, so, and then we sit there doom scrolling. I have cut out so much of the doom scrolling because I don't watch the news and stuff. Like sometimes things will show up and like I try to change my algorithm as much as possible. And then sometimes I go, whoa, how'd I get here? Because then it goes weird. Because it's true. I think that, and listen, I think part of what all of us can relate to is the situation, especially when it comes to parenthood, whether we've wanted children, whether we've tried to have children, whether we couldn't or could. I know, Evelyn, you started later. I started
Yeah.
younger and mine are 10 years apart. Raquel, you made the conscious decision that it wasn't for you, but it took you a long time to get there. And Gina, girl, you still young. Look at Evelyn. You never know, right? You never know. It could happen, And by the way, Evelyn, real quick, before we go there, because I'm trying to remember, is it that you also had endo?
Yes, I have a mess going on in my body, girlfriends. A mess going on in my body. I have terrible endometriosis. Actually, and I knew I had endometriosis since my 20s. And the reason I'll tell you why I knew I had it. I did research today. I just one day had just terrible cramps, and they were so terrible to the point I couldn't even get out of my, like, it was that painful. And I said to my mom, I was like, something's wrong. No, like, what is happening? Like, why is this like, painful? Like, I can't even get out of my bed. Went to the doctors, and here comes with the gaslighting. And I know, like Raquel said, we'll get to the doctors later, but the gaslighting is absolutely insane. Oh, you're young. Nothing's wrong. We'll put you on birth control. You'll feel better. And then, and your body is just deteriorating inside year after year after year after year. And here it comes. I want to have a baby, right? And I do all the things. I knew I had to do IVF because I'm a carrier for a certain condition, and I don't know if we want to get into that now, but I'm a carrier of not endometriosis, of muscular dystrophy. And I didn't
That's
find out
right.
until later in life because I'm adopted. So that's a whole nother story how I found out that I'm a carrier. But I'm glad that I found out early enough before I wanted to have kids. And I knew that that was a test that I had to take, and I had to find out whether I was a carrier or not. 50-50 chance. There's no in between. You either have it, don't have it. Um, so I knew I was going to have to do IVF, regardless if I wanted children. But as I started the process, they have to check out your body to make sure you are capable of having a baby. Again, I'm already, I think I started at 35 to collect eggs. So I was already at that age where they're looking at you like sideways already.
Yeah.
And even the IVF doctors, almost wanted to poo-poo me away from having children. Oh, like you're older, they even took, the test to see, how my egg count was. I was already declining at that point. It was really low. And they wanted to deter me from having children because it was going to be a lot, right? There might be a chance I have a kid. Maybe I don't get the eggs that I want. Then there was a consideration, do I want a girl, right? Do I end up with a girl who is also a carrier? How bad do I want to be a parent, right? In this situation. But anyway, so I ended up having to have, I forgot what the surgery is. It's I don't know if it's an endoscopy. I forgot what it was, where they have the camera it goes into your, your belly. And they found out it was just so terrible. The doctors didn't want to touch it. They did not want to perform any type of surgery. They could not remove it. I mean, my organs are intertwined in it at this point. So
Oh my
that's where
God.
and then it was like, okay, well, shoot, what does that mean for me? If you're not going to take it out, am I going to be able to have a child? It's another question. And they said, no, it's perfectly fine, blah, 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 blah. But, my concern is this, I still have it. It's still going. I am still, it doesn't end until you go into, until your period stops, right? Until you're
Yeah.
full menopause. So, I mean, not only that, I also had a C-section with my daughter. So now I'm even more, right? Scar tissue is growing in the
Scar
inside
tissue.
window. And it's very concerning. And the gaslighting for that was just absolutely insane. I knew I had it at a young age. I could not get a doctor to listen to me. It was insane. And this is women doctors on top of that. Okay, these are
Yeah.
not men. These are women telling you that you're perfectly fine when you know yourself that something's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, like the fighting part. Like, why do I don't have a PhD. You're the one who's the doctor. Why do I have to tell you like what you need to do, right, to help me? Is that bizarre? It's just crazy. And that this whole thing went through even my pregnancy. I lost 2 pregnancies, on the way. I'm trying to have my daughter. And even that was a struggle. I had to get a whole bunch of doctors together so that they all talk to each other so that I didn't have an issue like I had with my second child, with my second loss. So we can get into that later. But it's just horrendous. But I still have it. And
You
they
know
won't.
what's amazing to me? That you just said you had to get all the doctors together. Do you believe that?
Mhm. Yeah, I had to have a
That's
whole
wild to me.
meeting of the minds because my second loss should have never happened, period, point blank. It was a huge mistake that my doctor made. And, it was a lot of consideration of whether I was going to actually pursue a lawsuit. That's how bad it was.
My God.
Because he made one judgment call that cost me my second pregnancy. And at that, I had 2 boys who, I had to have a rigorous test made specifically. Okay, $6,000 it cost me to make this test, but they had to take DNA, not only from me, my mom, everyone who carried this gene, so they can make a specific test to test my embryos. I had 2 boys who were not affected. I lost both pregnancies. All the girls I had, unfortunately, are carriers, but that's something we can deal with later.
I'm
Oh,
so
that's
sorry.
crazy.
That is
Yeah, it's crazy.
heartbreaking.
That is. I'm so
Yeah, it's
sorry.
sad. It's disheartening.
Yeah.
It really is. But
Yeah.
my daughter's here. She's a miracle. Honestly, the way she got here is a miracle. I mean, that she's here today, I thank God every day.
It's driving you crazy, girl. And just wait.
And driving me crazy.
Girl, just wait.
But yeah, I mean,
You're gonna think of how a miracle she is when she's 13 and you want to throw it through the wall. Trust me.
I feel like that now. And she's only 10. But that's just a portion of my
Yeah.
horrific story. I mean, it just
Yeah.
continues with crazy stuff, but we'll get into more of that later.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I know some of just her labor story, and it scares the shit out of me. Like we may or may not get to it here, but oh my God, let me tell you, it's just the idea. Part 2, seriously, because it's the idea of just pure like I don't want to say negligence. What I want to say is realistically, I think if she unfortunately was a different tone, it might have been a different experience. Yes or no, Evelyn? Let's be realistic.
Absolutely. The fact that I mean, I had to get my MFM, my MFM doctor, OBGYN. I also had cardiovascular issues. So I also had a cardiovascular doctor. I mean, I had 50 billion doctors that I had to say, hey, listen, this is the plan. I had to tell them what the plan was. This is what I'm going to do to have my daughter, because I actually not only did I have an issue like conceiving and I had to do IVF, I also have a weak cervix. Hey, there's that fun part, right? I had to get my cervix sewn just to have my daughter, because the reason why I lost my two children before her, was because I have a weak cervix. So that's fine. So they had to sew me together. They had to sew my cervix up with like what I call a fish string. I don't even know. Just to hold her in, because my body was just giving labor at 15, 16 weeks. And that's when I lost both of my boys, you know? So
You
talk
know
about
what?
devastating.
It's crazy to me. I mean, because I know you personally, what
Yeah.
you may or may not tell people, the audience and watching this, you are the teeniest person I've ever met in my life who's not like a little person. Swear to God. So the fact, I mean, I am only 5'2" and I tower over you in every direction. Always have. And what's amazing is that I can't imagine your teeny tiny body
It was hard.
going through. I can't, any woman's body. It's horrific no matter what size, shape, whatever. Pregnancy and childbirth is traumatic.
The
But
whole thing.
to go through it and then also not have a lot of real estate, I think is
Yeah.
crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And then on
Not
the
a
other
lot.
side, you know, we have obviously Gina and Raquel, and Raquel, I know you've made conscious decisions over the years, but that wasn't always, I know that wasn't necessarily always like that.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that I didn't want kids, but I felt the societal pressure. I felt like there was something wrong with me because I wasn't feeling that push naturally. And it definitely made me feel like an outsider. I think now it's much more normalized, but back then, especially without social media or people, being child free and this whole DINK situation, there's acronyms now for people that don't have kids, so it's kind of
Yeah.
cutesy, but it wasn't before. And I just knew from a very young age that I really liked kids, but I didn't want to be a mom. And when I met my then boyfriend slash husband now, I told him when we started dating that I didn't want kids. And he was like, "Oh, that's fine." But he thought I would change my mind because I was so young. Just like everybody thought I would change my mind.
Of course.
Um,
Including
so
me.
yeah,
Including
everybody.
me.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I know everybody did
Yeah.
because everybody gets that. I don't know that. Oh, my ovaries. I don't know. I don't know what it's called because of the brain fog. I don't remember the terminology for it. But
The
I never
shriveling
felt.
or the shriveling.
Yeah, oh, my eggs are. What do you call that? I feel pull. I don't know. Whatever y'all feel, but I
The
don't feel
uterus
that.
skipped a beat.
My
I've
uterus
The
skips
never.
a beat.
Yeah, no, I've never felt that. And I have a uterus, but I'm like, hello, are you there? Talk to me, my eggs, none of it. And I just it was hard for me to release myself from the guilt of being a quote disappointment to the family and to my husband. I had to have a real conversation with him after being with him for years and telling him, look, if you want to go ahead and be with somebody that will give you children, like, let's get divorced. We could still be friends, no hard feelings. Like, I had that whole conversation with him. And it was hard because I didn't want to lose him, but I also didn't want to be selfish and keep a man that wants a family. Because Ralph did want a family. And
Yeah.
to be honest, if I were to tell him today I want a kid, he would be the happiest person in the world. But the happiest person in the world needs to be me before anyone else.
Amen.
And so that's a nay. And it wouldn't surprise me if one day he would leave me, to be honest with you. It wouldn't. It really wouldn't. So I'm like mentally kind of prepared for that just because I'm like, when people really want something, I don't know, the universe has a way of sometimes being real tricky. And so I may not be around. But the point is, I stand in the knowing of who I am and my truth, whether that disappoints him or anyone else on this planet. And I'm happy with the decision. And no, I never wanted to be a mom. I felt like I needed to fill a role that was just spoken upon me and prayed upon me. Literally, when I would go to church, I stopped going to church. It was a non-denominational church with Ralph, my husband. And all the women came around me to pray. They started touching my uterus. They were putting their hands on my belly, praying over me because they were like, oh, they've been married for such and such time. I'm sorry that you're not pregnant yet. That was the last day I went. I said,
Mm.
these bitches are trying to curse me. What?
Right.
No.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Yeah, no,
That'd be
that's
great if
crazy.
that's what you wanted, right?
Right. Right.
and let's not talk about all of the mental health issues and familial doomed genetics that I come from. God forbid.
Raquel, I'm not laughing. It's not funny, but the way you just said that,
It's true.
after all the conversations we've had.
Listen, there are too many isms. There are too many, I don't even know, for me to even consider bringing a child into this world. Even through IVF, I'd be like, I feel like, again, the universe would play tricks on me. It'd be like, oh, this one's slipping in there. I don't know. I wouldn't trust any of this. No, I wouldn't. So, yeah, I always knew, but it came at a cost of a lot, and it may continue in the future to come at a cost.
Yeah.
To be determined. You
To be
know,
determined.
you don't know what people are like. I love Ralph and I've been with him forever, but there is no security in anything in this life except death.
That's right. And taxes.
Not even people could get away with not paying taxes, but
You
you
know what?
can't,
You're right. Not
but
me
you
ever.
can't, you cannot
That's a
deter.
good point.
So the
Yeah.
only reality that is my experience is in my brain and myself, and everybody else, I don't know what y'all doing, but I know what I'm doing. And
You know what
that's
I think? It would have been actually, you're right when you say selfish, right? Because it would have been selfish for you, for anybody else to go against what you felt you wanted to do. Because then guess what happens? It all falls on you. I don't care
oh,
how
of
much a man
course.
wants a kid. That falls on the mother, no matter what.
Yes.
And you would have been, if this not something you wanted to do, you would have loved your children, because who doesn't? But you would have been miserable.
I think I would have had really bad postpartum depression,
You might
and with
have.
the PMDD, and also like all the mental health issues that are in my line, I don't think I would have been a good mom, to be honest. I think I would have been okay, but I think I would have had to do a way deeper dive of healing before even bringing a child into the world. And I don't think I'm done healing. It's probably gonna be another decade of that, and it's too late. So I'd probably be good to give advice, but not to actually raise a child. No,
But you
absolutely
know
not.
what, though? I want to kind of say this to you, though, because you may not have your own children, but not only are you a teacher, you've been a teacher, you're a godmother, you're a titi. I mean, like, you're always around kids. And shit, you're better at than I am.
But I
I'll,
also don't have to be with them 24 hours or take them
that's
to
exactly
dentists
it.
and the doctors
That's
and
it.
go sleepless. And
That's
you
it.
you see children
Yeah.
in a different way, and there's a boundary.
Yep.
It's easier to connect with a child that has a different experience with you. And I noticed, I mean, parents would always tell me, oh, but how is it that you get so and so, whatever? I mean, think about your own selves. When you were growing up, you confided in your friends more so than your parents, right? That's usually the way it goes, unfortunately, right? And I think that children will gravitate toward me because I'm like a big kid and I'm also very honest and I talk to kids in an honest way. I don't what's the word, infantilize them? In
Mm-hmm.
that it's that
Infantilize. Yeah,
word.
you're right.
I
Yep.
don't I don't do that to them, and I I just have a very deep respect for children because they're new and they're in such a fucked up world that I feel
Mm.
like they need to be given a lot of grace and a lot of empathy. So I try to connect with them because a lot of times kids don't know how to connect with themselves, with other adults. So at the very least, I'm like, it's nice to be able to connect with kids. I just feel like they're just more honest than adults. They're freer. They are in a very precarious time of their lives. So I do tend to gravitate to connect with
Yeah.
children much easier than with adults because adults are a lot of times full of shit.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the
Always.
time.
Yeah.
So it's different. So if I had a kid, my kid probably would not like me and want to talk to other people because that's just the way of the world because the universe is tricky.
Where does my kid go? So usually like you two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kids, no matter how great you think you are,
Yeah.
it's always that's the joke. That is the joke of life.
I think the joke would be a parent to think they're great.
Right.
Like
It's true.
that to me would be the joke. I'm like, I look at
Because
my
all
kids and
our
I'm like,
traumas come from parents, and you
yes,
will be the reason for your child's trauma. You will be the reason for your child's
yeah,
trauma, no matter how much
Always.
healing you think you do, because that's just who we are. That's the human experience.
yeah, yeah.
It is what
I
it is.
think that's really interesting. You know, me and Gina have a lot of conversations about because we obviously being siblings, where and you have your sister and even Evelyn, I mean, you have your older brother who was much older brother in the sense of, you know, your adopted older brother. And I
Mhm.
remember him being older enough that he wasn't always in the house, right? But we all have siblings and raised very differently with our siblings, different age ranges, you know, and me and Gina talk about, because I think with even with your sisters, Raquel, you have a big age gap. Evelyn and you and your brother have a significant age gap. Me and Gina are like right on top of each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we talk about sometimes how with our parents, we literally still had two different parents, like complete, like
Mhm.
two different versions of our parents for each of us, right? And how that affected the way we did certain things as we got older, including the way we saw relationships, the traumas that we've gone through, the way we've picked partners, those kind of things, right? Like that all has an effect. So like Gina, in what we're talking about, you know, you don't have as far as I'm aware, like a yes or a no in this particular case. Like I've known there are times you've said to me, I'm not doing it. And other times you're like, maybe if it happens. So being in the position you are now, does that waver at all?
I'd be lying if I said it didn't. I'm a Libra. I notoriously cannot make a decision. You know, I'm an overthinker and I will be back and forth forever. Most of my life and, you know, my childhood and into young adulthood, I was always like, absolutely not. Nope, no babies. I used to say it from
No babies, yeah.
younger, right? Then I got older and got into adult relationships and was like, well, maybe, right? But then also, nah, not so much. Again, it really wasn't until more recently, it's terrible, I say more recent, and by that I mean 10 years ago. But about 10 years ago, was the first time I was, you know, getting into a relationship where I felt like, oh wow, this could really be it. And it became less of like, I want kids because I need this for myself and it's what I want. And more so, wow, this is a really good guy. He would make a really good dad. He has great qualities. And that kind of became something that I began to kind of picture in my brain, was this idea that it felt like this would be the person. And for the first time, it didn't scare me, the idea of having kids. Where I'm at now, have I made a hard and fast decision? No. But I also, to Raquel's point, I think it's more so a matter of feeling a certain type of pressure or a certain type of judgment or you know, maybe a look that you get, or the idea of always having to deal with a rebuttal of, oh, you'll change your mind. Like it's never just accept my no. Like this is something that we're trying to teach kids, especially little boys, like from a young age now, like no is a full sentence.
Full sentence, full stop.
Full
Yep.
stop.
It's a boundary. You have to adhere to a boundary.
Exactly.
People have boundaries, and there's a hard stop where you want that boundary to be.
Right. And we're so accustomed to having to explain ourselves and over explain ourselves. And for me, it could never just be a matter of just saying like, oh no, I don't really think I want kids, maybe. And then it becomes the questions and the pressure and the, oh, you'll change your mind or whatever else. Until then I have to come out with, well, you know, I also have a very serious condition. And so it would actually be very risky for me to try and have a baby. It could kill me, you know, so for it doesn't really hit somebody else in that same way, even when I say that. But that is a very real reality. We're sitting amongst one here, okay, who went through a horrific, you know,
Oh God, you don't know the half of it.
And history and everything else. And again, I won't speak any of your business, but like, you know, the idea of that for me now at 40, I don't know that it would be worth the risk.
Yeah.
Me even choosing to get back on birth control came because the medication was coming up to the point where I couldn't be on it anymore. It's, you know, you can only be on it for 6 months, then you have to change the medication because the ill side effects have a higher likelihood of sticking around. Like they're irreversible the longer you're on this medication. So I come off that medication, and within 2 days, I was like doubled over with cramps. And I didn't even have a period yet. And I was told, you know, maybe within 2 to 3 weeks, you might get a period. And so, you know, at the time when I was coming off that medication, I said, oh, well, let me just see how my body does. And once I felt the cramps, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I punishing myself? Before I could excuse it because I was saying, well, I'm with a partner and I know that ultimately he wants a kid. So if that means I have to kind of suffer every single month on the off chance that maybe possibly something could happen if the stars align, you know, which stars weren't aligned, but you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't.
They were just not in the way you thought they were.
It wasn't, it just wasn't meant to be. So the point I'm trying to make now is that my mindset has changed in terms of I do not need to physically give birth to a child to feel like or to be a mother. If at some point, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, I decide I want to foster or I want to adopt, I can do that. There's so many kids who need a home.
Damn right.
Who need
absolutely high.
You know, a responsible adult to just take them in, you know. So
yeah.
That's a good case right there. There you go. Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. And so again, for me, I don't say anything is ever off the table. And ultimately, God is in charge, not me. So if it's still in my cards, it'll happen if and whenever, by whatever divine power that be, it will happen. But for right now, the only thing in my future is me, myself, and I.
You know, I always laugh about it now because again, we're all in the same areas of our lives, but in all completely different capacities in every way, living our lives in completely different capacities. And I think about the fact that someone said to me that, oh my God, I was literally have both kids with me. And I said, obviously, you all know Natalie's going to be 20 this year, but she's still my kid. So really, I know it's ridiculous. It's like a grown ass adult in my house who wants to fight me on putting paper towels back in the bathroom. I want to kill her sometimes. So I have to like literally like try not to wring her neck on a daily basis. But I'm with my kids. I forgot where we were the other day. And I got both of them. They're both fighting like they're a year and a half apart. And I'm looking at both of them like, I can't take you to anywhere. What the hell? And the lady goes, oh man, the Minute Clinic at CVS. And the lady says to me, she says, oh my God, you really started over. I was like, who are you telling? And all of a sudden I started laughing. She goes, wait, 10 years. Isn't your son going to be 10? I said, don't put that juju out there. I was like, just because it's every 10 years, I said, don't put that juju out there. And then I realized, like I said earlier, I ain't doing nothing to get pregnant for a while now. So I'm not quite worried about it in that respect, which is kind of where I wanted to go with the next part of our conversation, because again, we're all, you know, Evelyn, you're in a committed relationship. Raquel, you've been married for a long time. Me, well, we know my story. I'm not going to that crap again. And Gina, obviously freshly single, but out of a very long relationship, both of us out of very long relationships. And I think part of the perimenopause and part of the way our bodies change, our minds change, our total I don't give a fuck changes, right? I think there's things that we crave, but also things that we're like, you know what, I'm good without it. And like, I know like Raquel and Evelyn, you guys aren't in the dating pool. I've actually stepped back from it because I realized there's nothing but garbage out there. And even the, oh man, and even the ones that are nice, I'm not going to lie to you. They're so inconsistent. They're weird. They're fucked up. They're like, I'm like, bro, you contacted me. Like, why are you being such an ass? You know, those kind of things, right? And I don't know, Gina, I don't know if you've technically stepped your toe in there yet. You have plenty of time. There's no rush. There's nothing out there, trust me. But my point is like when it comes to intimacy, our relationships, our sex lives, our dating lives, have you seen or experienced a change? Any of you? Like, have you said more of like it's less about physical acts and more about just intimacy when you're with your husband or your partner, or you're just like, you know what, looking at your face is annoying. Go play your video game. Leave me the hell alone.
I'm on number 3 right now because, and that's because I have a toddler. Only because I have a toddler, I just like right now I'm like, please, okay, I don't have time for it. Go away. But like we still have our banter or whatever. I mean, me and him are funny. We're just kind of like high school sweethearts. We banter. We tell each other to fuck off if we need to. Like we can definitely like speak to each other wholeheartedly. Sometimes I'm like, Colin, I can't. Not right now. My mental capacity can't take it. Like, please fuck off. But because like I don't know, men are funny. Like it's like they're always joking and want to be lighthearted. And there's just some days I'm just not in the mood. And so, but you do have to tread lightly. You also don't want to push a partner away to the point where you're like, where they
Yeah.
start to feel it too. So you have to have a happy medium there. Where okay, yes, I have to spend time. There's days where you just say like, listen, I just want to be alone. And there's days like that. I just want to be alone. And if I could dig a hole in the backyard, okay, I would. Okay, and have him pour dirt on top of me because that's how alone I want to be sometimes. But that's how I feel. It's crazy how I think like, okay, how can I be alone? I'm like, Colin, dig a hole. Just pour dirt on me. I'm good. Or, there's days I'm like, should I get a hotel room and just be gone for like
Oh,
the
I've gone.
weekend? Like
Yeah.
I sometimes it's just and we're together 24/7. We work from home. That's another thing. Me and him are together 24/7, 7 days a week. So imagine that, right? No breaks. I mean, I have a great, break for my daughter because she has daycare, but like we're 24/7. He works up here, I work downstairs. Like we're together all the time. So that's another difficult part, like since COVID, our companies no longer have a location, so we're home all the time. That's a unique kind of thing too.
Yeah.
But again, that's
That's a
just on my
very,
own.
but that's a very unique thing our generation is dealing with, right? Like I think
Mhm.
now a lot of it is so much of that as well. It's that, you know, families had moments where they were able to go their separate ways and do their own things and now so many families and since COVID, and I think that was, for example, in my household, I know that was one of the reasons of the falling out was being so in such close quarters. And we don't have a house, we have an apartment. There's only so many places you can go, right? What's interesting is, Raquel, I know because I know you and Ralph spend a lot of time apart because of his job, so that's like the complete opposite of what Evelyn, and I know you said to me sometimes it's a wonderful thing.
Yes,
I
our
know what you
entire
mean.
relationship has been very much like I do my thing, he does his thing, and then we also do stuff together. That hasn't changed. I think that that's what makes it work. We really respect each other's boundaries and our likes and dislikes. And
Mhm.
there are a lot of things that we don't even agree upon, and we have different hobbies, but yet somehow we make it work. I don't know, but it works. He recently stopped traveling and he's been home every day, and that's been different. But the good news is that he's a gamer, so it's great.
Hmm.
And I am not the kind of
Mhm.
person that gets home and likes to chat about anything or work. I like to be quiet, and he loves it. I love it. So half the time I'm like, this works out. I'm on antidepressants, so I don't really have a libido, and that's been dead for like 5 years. So I don't really have much to say about that. Once I get on some kind of HRT, maybe, I don't know, but I think I'm asexual at this point.
I will say, like, my libido is like, hello, girl, where the hell are you
I
at?
don't think I have one. I think I'm dead inside in more ways than one. I'm drying out.
Everyone's so kind of, it's like, hello, hello, hello.
I talk
Hello.
about it all the time. You know, it's like it just is what it is. I mean, I really wish I could be a better version of myself, but I'm not.
I mean, we're at the version of ourselves that we are right
There is
now, but
like I
You're
don't
the
it
even
is
best
what it
version,
is.
yeah.
understand. I don't even understand what it means to be sexy. Like I don't even know what anything is anymore. I'm just like a primitive.
I'm in my listen, I'm in my pajamas all day, every day. This is like, you're lucky you got a bun today. You're lucky you got a bun, okay? Because it's usually my hair's looking crazy. Okay,
There's
that's
times
just
I could be cute, but you know, like you get dressed up, but it feels like I'm an imposter. When I
Yeah.
right.
try, I feel like an imposter. Be like, oh, you look cute, and I'm just like, this is a lie.
Right.
No, you know how exhausting it
Right.
is to get dressed up?
Oh yeah,
It's
I
to the
mean,
point now, it's exhausting. The hair, the makeup, the
you want me to go
clothes,
where? To do
the
what?
freaking for me, the fajas. Oh my God. I have a faja for every piece of my body. And I still look at pictures after and go, damn, it didn't even work. What the hell? It's so not worth it. I come back with bone, you know, like all the bone indents. I'm like, what was the
And then
point?
the crazy part is like you crave to go out, but you don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah. You pray for like someone to cancel. You're
Like,
like the whole time you're going, you know, I know we spent money on this, but I'll take the loss. You know, like you're kind of like, if I don't gotta
Sometimes.
get dressed and get off my
right.
couch, you know, it's like one of those things that it's really a weird place to be.
Right.
Like I feel you, Raquel, because I do. Like there are days I'm just like, nah. Like I actually, when I'm not in my stretchy pants, like when tomorrow we have to go to the office, I actually feel like somebody else entirely. I'm like, this is not me anymore. Like I want stretchy pants, I want comfortable pants and t-shirts. Like that's it. And I don't know if that started just because COVID made it just easier to be that way all the time, or if it's just become that I'm just like, you know what? If someone's going to like me, they're going to like me for this.
That's right.
You're
You
not,
get what you
you
get.
know, you get what you get. Like if we're gonna go out and we're gonna have a good time, I'll put the effort in. But if we're gonna
Right.
sit, I'm not doing it if you coming to my house. Like if we're going to sit
Absolutely.
in your house on the couch, I'm wearing the couch clothes to your house too. Like there's none
Yeah.
of that, there's none of that stuff in between. Cause
Right.
I get what you're saying, you know, libido wise, you know, okay, y'all know me enough. I've always had a very
Right.
healthy one. Always, always, always. But up until just about the past 5, 6 months or so, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's almost not worth it to even want to go there. I will say
Right.
though, what I
It's the
do miss
age.
is the age. And it's not like I
Mhm.
don't wouldn't like to, but it's just like and it's not that I don't have the option if I want to. My brain is like, I don't care. That's a scary place I feel to be where I'm just like, I don't care. What I have to say I do miss sometimes is the intimacy part of it. That I miss. I do miss
Yeah.
sometimes the hugs and the other stuff. That kind of stuff I do miss is the connection, right? But then I look at my ex-husband and I realize, oh, that connection, you was also having that connection with other people. So I guess maybe it wasn't what I thought it was anyway, you know? So I think you get to a point, and Gina, and actually that's a question that I have for you as well. I know you struggled a lot of years with that exact thing, was that intimacy, that lack of intimacy because of the situation with your ex. But is that something that you still, now that you're past that point, is that something you still miss, or now you're just like, you know what, now I'm even better without it?
It's it's hard to miss something when you realize you didn't really have like you didn't really have it to begin with. So what I mean by that is that coming out of this relationship turned on a light bulb for me on a lesson that I didn't realize I'd picked up from a previous relationship over a decade ago. Um, and that for me was the quality time, the um the intimacy as far as like literally just being together. It's not that we have to be like doing anything, but it would be like if we're going, you know, several days, whatever it is, without seeing each other, you know, our thing would always be like, oh, I can't wait for the weekend, I need skin contact, right? That didn't mean anything necessarily dirty. That meant I want to be like in a sports bra and you have, you know what I mean, and just
Yeah.
feel your skin on mine. And so I think more recently that's been the hardest loss is the idea that now I'm no longer in a relationship. And then I'm also realizing that the learning of that thing, like, oh wow, I didn't realize until now how deeply I needed that and I wasn't getting it. So it was like, it was just very interesting for me. And it, you know, it, again, it had nothing to do with libido, right? That to me that's a separate area. That tends, for me, in my experience, that comes when the skin contact and the playful intimacy is already there. When I can talk to you, when we can have the playful banter, when we can comfortably know that we can go retreat to our own and then come back. But there was never any coming back. There was just always separation. It never felt like us. It never felt like we. It felt like a constant like struggle that I was always internally screaming, like, see me, come touch me, talk to me, look at me. Like, am I here? Well, like, what are you doing? So that for me is like, that was a big lesson that I took away. But regardless of all the years later that it came to me, it's put me in a position to now knowing that's just one more thing that, like, that's a hard line for me at this point. Now I know this is the kind of closeness that I want, that I enjoy, because it doesn't have to be all the time, every single night. I'm not saying I want to be your little spoon 7 nights. No, I don't want that either. Like, because when I want my space, like, get off me.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like, please don't touch me when I don't want you to touch me. But I'm also,
when I want you to touch
so
me.
I want you to touch me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to tell you to like, you don't, I want you to kind of know me well enough. You pick up on my cues, you know my body language to know, oh, okay, now is a playful moment, I'm going to come in, versus, oh, look at the look on her face, I'm going to just like leave her to her own peace or whatever. Or, hey, when in doubt, again, just talk to me. Am I here? Do you see me? Talk to me.
You know what? That's actually, go ahead, Evelyn. No, go ahead, Evelyn.
The thing is, like, that distinctive line of, like, we're not roommates. Like, we're in a relationship. You're not my roommate. We're not. Are you, like, here to rent a place? No, we're in a relationship. So that means, yes, we live in the same space, and yes, we need separation, but also come together. Otherwise, like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah,
because
physical
I'm
touch.
not your friend.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Right. And
goes
that's the
beyond
whole thing. It was to a point, it didn't even feel like a friend. It didn't even feel like a roommate. It literally felt like coexisting with someone who slowly grew into a stranger.
Right. And that's a terrible position to be in. And, you know, and as disheartening as it is that, you know, you lost this person, maybe it's the universe almost telling you, like, hey, you know, this may not be the right person. And
oh no, it's all for the better.
Yeah, it's always all for the better. Like I always say, like, there's always a way up, right? And you do learn lessons through relationships, what you are willing to take, what you're not willing to take, what your cutoff is. I mean, you learn a lot. And that gives you a potential strong partner, because at that point you're like, I'm not beat for that. No, thank you. I don't want that. This is not for me. Moving on, you know. But you know, you do have to have a happy medium. You can't just.
You know what's interesting, that they say that no matter what age you are, and it starts with babies, physical touch lowers our blood pressure with someone you love, someone who cares for you. It doesn't have to be even in an intimate relationship, someone you care for, just a hug alone, someone to say, I got you for that second. I always say that's the point that I miss, and maybe because I never had it. Someone to sit there and hold me and say, I got you. You could breathe for a second. I've never had that. And sometimes there's a craving for that. more than any other physical thing. It's that craving, like, let me take something from you for a second, right? Like, let me just, even if it's just, let me hold you so you know I got you. I think sometimes we forget how important that really is. And I think as we get older and we are in all these different phases, we kind of see how much at times that's really important. And we're actually going to start wrapping up soon, but that is like the perfect way to segue into my next thing, because part of that thing that I've been thinking about with the whole, and I talked about it in the last episode when it was just me like a couple weeks ago, that I was like, I'm realizing this whole not giving a fuck thing, or giving a fuck less about things, expectations, people, what I look like to other people, what people think of me, you know, even my career. I'm like, this is not a career to me. This is a job. I still don't even know at my age if I want, what kind of career I may actually want, right? Because people change and do so many things. We can change completely in our 40s, 50s, 60s. It doesn't matter. If God still got you kicking, you have the chance to do something better, you know, or to think and do different things in every season of your life. So either of you can jump in, or however the case may be, but what is something you've learned when it comes to boundaries in your life? Whether it's with your family, whether it's with your friends, whether it's your job, that you start to go, you know what? I give such a little fuck now about what people, how people are not going to take advantage of me anymore, right? I don't give a fuck if you think I'm supposed to be a certain way, or you want me to be a certain way, or I have to perform to your liking, right? And that all takes place at boundaries. So what have you learned, and that you can continue to learn and cultivate in that respect for any aspect of your lives?
I can speak on that. For me, it's been very clear that I need to match people's energy. I
That
tend to
part.
be an overgiver, an oversharer, and over everything. And not getting that in return has really messed with my self-esteem and my own worth, thinking that maybe I am not worth being loved as deeply, that I
Mm,
have to show up and be someone else. I have to mask to be a certain way so that I'm accepted, so that I can feel loved, but also earn love, right? Like
yeah.
there's that level of I have to keep showing up a certain way, because if I don't, then that's gonna all be taken from me. And
Mm,
I'm at the point now where I'm like, no, that is just not true. Um, I think doing a lot of introspection, a lot of alone time really helps. You know, when I was younger, I loved to go out, I loved to party, I loved
mm,
to be out all the time, busy, busy, busy. And I think I was just drowning out my own voice and my own needs and desires, and just showing up for others in a way that was lighthearted and fun. And in reality, I'm a very dark person. And
you are.
unless you get to know me
Yep.
truly, everybody thinks I'm like, people have literally called me Sunshine as their
I'm sure.
nickname. And I'm just like, who are you talking about?
It's
Who?
true.
I'm the most cynical bitch you will ever.
You
I am a
are.
ray of sunshine to an extent, but I am like Daria, like
Yep.
from the cartoon. In my
Yep.
heart, I am that person, and I always have been. And unless you really understand me, like you don't, because I'm very smiley and I am warm and I'm this and that, whatever, on the outside, I've learned to mask and be this character, right? Because it's a character. And it's a likable, fun, lighthearted type of vibe. I get it. It's nice. But that's only a very small fraction of who I am or who I give to people. And I thought that I had to be on all the time in order to be loved, in order to connect. And my circle has gotten smaller, but in the best
Mm,
way. And I
yep.
think that the fear isn't totally gone. There are times, especially with PMDD, what I know about PMDD is that you will ruminate and your brain will tell you things that aren't true. So I have to always come back and center myself in the knowing that I am loved, that I am cherished, and that I don't have to be anything or anyone that I am not. And just existing in the world as myself is enough. And that's something that I'm still learning and growing through, but it's hitting my 40s has been the best for that, because now I'm like, oh yeah, like it's okay if people see that other side of me that isn't such sunshine and rainbows. Like I can be the duality that I am. I can be that person, and the people that love me will still love me, and the people that catch my humor will appreciate it, and those that don't, and that's it, right?
That's it.
So for me, that's been life-changing. And again, I have like another decade of healing and of working through this, but I'm finally there where I identify with that very broken person that
Yeah.
I didn't realize was so broken. Because when everybody says such wonderful things about who you are, but they're only seeing a fraction of who you are, then you internalize, wow, then that means that those other parts are not lovable. Those other parts can't be
Mm,
loved. Those other parts
yeah.
can't be trusted. And if you start valuing yourself based on what other people think of you, you start to internalize that as your own thoughts, and it's not true. I've read somewhere that said, whether you think good of me or bad of me, that's none of my business.
Mm, yes.
That's cool.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna leave it
Yeah.
at that, right? That is a word.
That's
Yes.
Yeah,
it. There you
absolutely.
go. What is it they go? Amen. That's it. That's it.
No, absolutely.
Evelyn, what about you?
Same. You know, I think the thing with me is like people think that they can walk all over me. I can be quiet. I call myself stealth mode because like I can go from 0 to 100. I don't know, maybe I'm not your typical Libra. I don't know. I feel like I was just born angry. Whatever. It is what it is. Like I am not bubbly. My manager, even at work, can tell you, if she can tell anybody, you are not a bubbly person, and that's not what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get fluffy. What do you want? That's how I am. Get to the point so I can help with X, Y, and Z, and that's how I am with life. Get to the point. I don't have time for it. Get it out so that I can, move forward. And that's just how I am right now. And I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care. This is me. Either like me or hate me at this point, but this is me. This is my, like there's things that I don't stand for, and I will let you know about it. Even, and I can tell you this, for example, when I wanted to have my daughter, there was a really hard moment between me and my partner where we were like at a standstill. We're like, are we going to move forward? And, for me, it was like, I was determined. This is my direction I'm going in. This is the direction I'm going in. You're either coming with me or not in this journey. Uh, and as you know me very well, Teresa, like I was born a warrior. I had a terrible start at life. And
Yeah.
so I'm a tyrant. I have been a tyrant.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and I don't stand for shit. I really don't. And I think that's just how life set me up as a 5-year-old, and with what has happened with my life. I'm adopted. I had a terrible life. I had to be a parent at 5 years old to my siblings. I mean, really, I have been through it, and it just continues, right? Like, I mean, I have not had a moment of peace in life. And I'm like, seriously, bro, give me a minute, because what the hell? I need peace. And that's kind of like where I'm at now. Like, yes, don't fuck with me, but I also want peace at the same time. I want to have some
Peace.
peace of mind. Like
Yeah.
I just want to be left alone. I want to live my life. I don't want to have to think about politics. I don't want to have to think about this. I don't want to have to think about that. I just want to be in peace. And if I could live in a hut by myself, I would do it. That's just how I am. I love nature. I love being out. I love, those are the things that I love to do. I love being in the quiet. I just how I've always been. And, I think a lot of that being alone part, I think happened during, a lot of breakups and things, and living by myself, just completely by myself, and learning about myself and what I wanted about a relationship, family, things like that. So I did took a quite a hiatus in my 30s. I had a terrible breakup. And I said, okay, well, it is what it is. We start over, whether that was the pressure of me wanting a child, whatever, we will get there. My determination will get us there. And I'm very determined. I don't accept no for an answer. And that's just how I am. I've always kind of been like that, but I feel like I've been more outwardly more open about it. Like I have no apologies. I shouldn't have to apologize to be me. Let's just be clear. That's it.
Thank you. Exactly. Exactly.
I love that.
Gina,
Mhm.
that's perfect. That's exactly where we should be at. What about you, Gina?
I'll be honest, it's been long enough that I forgot the exact question, but based on what
Brain fog at 1,000.
There it is.
We having it in full 100%
This is
live,
real time.
real time live shit here.
Memory loss.
What have you learned? What do you feel you're taking into this next decade, this next season of your life?
Put Gina first. Similar to Raquel's point, I think in general, I tend to kind of like just have a nature of wanting to always be there, always be available, always do the thing, always say yes, go, 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 go. And when I'm now at the point where it's like, okay, I'm going, and I'm just tired. Like,
Yeah.
when do I get to stop? When does Gina have Gina time? So right now I'm just very content in being in my own space, in my peace. I often explain sometimes, because people will be like, oh, well, don't you get lonely? You're always by yourself. Don't you get lonely? And I said, well, I mean, to me, there's a difference between like being sad and loneliness, or being content and thriving in solitude. Like for me, I find it to be very enriching to be on my own, and know that I got it, right? I still have my village and my support when and where I need it, but there's something to be said about just kind of being in my own peace and putting myself first, and even just making a decision, like deciding to go back on the pill because of for health reasons and this and that. Like, that was a decision that for a long time I didn't want to do, but that me not wanting to do it was a decision based on what I thought somebody else wanted. So now it feels like, okay, I'm gonna take control back a little bit, and do this, because for now this is what's working for my body and my lifestyle. And if and whenever that changes, I will cross that bridge when I get there. But for right now, I'm good. I'm content. I'm happy. I mean, like I said, I'm busy working, trying to just take some time here or there. And also learning that, I have worked with the same company for a very long time. I've accumulated time off, and damn it, it's time I start using it.
Damn right.
There's no reason to like kill myself day in and day out. I'm trying to take breaks more often during the day, trying to get myself to eat regularly during the day again.
Don't even get me on that struggle.
Yeah, like it's hard. But yeah, I mean, so overall, I'm just kind of like, in every aspect of life, I'm very much, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We touched on this earlier. It's like the only, to me, I always say the only constant is change. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is forever. And so each day that I wake up, I'm grateful. I practice gratitude every single day. And I just try and spread kindness, right? I'm not fake in any kind of way. Some people see me in pure happiness, and other people see RBF. It really depends. Underneath, I'm all still the same person. Like, all of those different versions of me are still underneath there. But yeah, other people's opinions, they don't matter to me. In fact, I honestly feel bad for people who really struggle with this, like, need for that outside validation, like
acceptance, validation. For what?
Yeah, because I'm like, F you and your validation. I don't need
it. I don't need it. I got
because I'm good. Yeah, like
right.
I'm good. Yeah. If I know in me that I'm good, And each day I'm just trying to do good, be good, leave people and places better than I found them. That's my ultimate goal. So it is what it is. I really have, I feel like I ran out of books a while ago. So it's scary to think that they say, oh no, you lose more and more as you get older. And I'm already in a negative.
She's like, I don't know if I got more I don't know if I got more to give.
I know where they're coming from, but we shall see.
And, you know, it can only get better from here. Yeah.
You know, I had a really, really hard week, like past week and a half, couple weeks. You know, you guys know I had the situation with the dog. I was sad about that. My son has been having a rough time between baseball and some other stuff, school work, some stuff I've had to crack down on. You know, he's a little bit, you know, very little bit on the spectrum. So, you know, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. So anything, as much as a lamp in his room this week broke, and he couldn't stand that his whole everything, the lighting was off in his room.
Yeah.
And he could not concentrate at all. We bought him like a little couch for his room. So if he has friends over and we had to move stuff around, he's been in a tizzy since. And I'm like, you're going to have to get used to it because change is always going to happen. You know, I got the big one who's working full time. We're rushing with cars. I've had some debt stuff that I'm dealing with my ex-husband. I have to deal with him way more than I want to. So it's like, I've had one this past few weeks that have been so soul draining, like just hard, that I've been finding myself passing out, like on the couch, like, you know, like more than normal, like physically and emotionally exhausted. I'll sit on my chair. I didn't realize I was going to get to a point in my life that I look forward so much to my recliner. I made fun of my mother my entire life.
Oh my
Like,
God,
look at this old lady.
my head.
Yes, the recliner. We weren't allowed to sit in it. Yeah, we
Mhm.
weren't allowed to sit in it. And now I look at my kids, I'm like, you break my chair. I swear, I hear my mother coming
Oh,
out because it's,
God.
because
Every
it's
time
just
I
those
walked in the
little
door,
things
she was in her chair.
in a chair. And I
Oh, I
caught
know that
myself,
chair.
we all
I
know the
remember
chair.
that chair. Yep.
And I
Yes.
caught myself the other day because we had the dog here. And I'm sitting in the chair with the tray next to me. You swear to God, you can't make this up. I got my button down pajamas on, my coffee cup in my hand. The dog is next to me. I'm laid back in my chair with a blanket and we're watching a movie. And my daughter's sitting on this table sofa. And she goes, you know exactly what you look like. I said, what are you talking about? She said, you look like Lila. And I saw it. And I went, son of a bitch. She was the same age that I was making fun of her. And I looked exactly like my mother sitting in that chair. And I realized this is my comfort. I'm sitting here. We're blessed. I somehow by myself have been able to keep a roof over my kids' heads and no one's gone hungry. It's still early in life, but I'm like, I keep saying, you know what? It gets harder out there. But I feel like if we're able to just say right now at the moment, let's get through today. Right. I'm like, if I can get through today and my kids are asleep in their beds and I can go to my little dining room, bedroom, you know, whatever it is, and I'm in my bed at whatever time that I get off my chair, I'm like, at least, and homework is done and all those kinds of things, at least I can say, you know what, we're good. And I think that is so underrated. I think we're going so much. There are nights I crawl into bed and I have to, in a stupor, I'll sit there and say, thank God. We're all here, we're all safe, we're all in bed, you know, that kind of thing. And thank you for the day, you know, no matter what it was. And I think that's, for me, that's one of the things that I've learned as I've gotten older. So it is the gratitude, but it's the idea, just sometimes be thankful you get through the day, you're in one piece, you're safe, you have whatever peace you can find, you know, and some people don't get that at all. And I think that we're all really lucky in those ways that we've all come so far. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was thinking about this episode before, and I was thinking about just the four of us, the five of us, six of us, all of us 20 years ago, we're hanging out on Exit. Like we're in New York City, we're in clubs, we're doing like it didn't matter what time of the day, night, it's just hanging out. And I'm thinking to myself, if I look back then, I'm like, if you told me we'd be here now, I don't know that I could have perceived it. That's it. You know, I don't know that.
I would have been like, you lying, stop it.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to me. So the last thing I want to do, because we're at the end here, I'm going to ask each of you, if you could talk to that girl 20 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you say to her, Raquel?
To keep moving forward, not look back. Don't take everything so seriously. Not everything that you think is real. Feelings are fleeting. I also tend to feel things a little bit too deeply, and then the
Yeah.
next I'm like, what was I thinking? And I know it has a lot to do also with, my PMDD. And so I think that getting older and living with this diagnosis has really helped me understand myself more and really just have more compassion for myself. I used to feel so shitty about being who I was and feeling all the feelings that I was
Yeah.
feeling, the rage, the anger, the depression, it's a roller coaster. Having PMDD is PMS on steroids times 10, and everything that you can imagine, including suicidal ideation, is there every single month. And it hasn't been that long that I've been on medication. It's been 5 years now, and it has changed my life completely. I still struggle with PMDD, but it's not debilitating as it was. And I wish that I would have known that that's what it was. And if I could speak to myself as a young person, be like, okay, you have this diagnosis, it's not your fault. Let's get you some medication. Let's get it together and you're going to be fine. So that's what I would say to my past self. I got you. We got this. All those feelings, you're going to have it under control at one day, you're going to be okay. And so this is definitely the time in my life where I've been at most peace. Even though I'm dealing with other health issues, it feels freeing to know that I am very clear with who I am and what I want, and I don't need anyone to validate it. It's just what it is. I just have to exist
That's it.
in late stage capitalism.
Right. God, whoo, let me tell you, end of the world type shit.
Yeah,
Craziness.
that's it. It's
Craziness.
day by day, and have the attitude of gratitude because that's
That's
important.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
Love
that's
it.
what I would tell myself.
Love it. Gina?
Me next. Okay, what would I tell 20?
I did struggle.
Gina?
I just, freeballed it there.
What would I tell 20-year-old Gina? Similar to Raquel, you're gonna be okay. Regardless of what comes your way, you're gonna be fine. And maybe even more important than that, trust your intuition.
Oof.
Trust it the first time. Stop trying to overanalyze.
That's right.
And excuse what you're feeling.
That's
when
right.
you're feeling a certain thing, no matter what it is, especially if you can't explain why you feel this way, which seems the craziest part. I feel like the further crazy it seems is like the stronger it is. Like, listen to your gut. I have so many. Now I say that to say I also wouldn't change anything, right? Because having that information, had I known to listen to my intuition the way I should have, I wouldn't be exactly where I am right now, right? It's like if you change one thing, you change everything. So I say that, but I'm also saying I wouldn't really change anything. But there's just so many of those like pinpoint moments where I can remember feeling a certain way really deeply, and then talking to myself in my head, replaying it over and over again, and convincing myself, you're being silly. It's fine. It's fine. Which goes back to the first thing I said. It's always going to be fine, which is why I say I wouldn't change anything. But at 40 years old, the biggest lesson and takeaway from my most recent relationship is like, yeah, girl, you should have trusted your intuition. Like, you shouldn't just listen to your intuition. So that's where I'm at now, in just trying to connect more with myself and really, really understand all the deepest levels there are to me, so that I can love them all, because that's the only way. Full acceptance for everything that I am, and that's that. So yeah, trust my intuition, or trust your intuition, and it's all going to be okay, regardless of what happens.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it. Evelyn?
It's the same thing. Like everything will be fine. And I say that to myself even now when I'm struggling. Like, girl, you got this. Everything is good. Like, you're fine. Like you got this. Like, because I know I have this, at the end of the day, but I just go through these weird panic moments of like, I can't do it anymore. I want to
Yeah.
Yeah.
hide, leave it
Yeah.
alone. And I'm like, stop it. Knock it off. It's going to be fine. It's not the end of the world at the end of the day, right? I have family, I have friends, I have people who care about me at the end of the day. And that's what really matters, right? Your family, your friends. I have a roof over my head. Thank God I have a job, right? I'm making money. It is not the end of the world. Although I may feel like that on a daily
Yeah.
basis. It is not. It is not the end of the world. And I have to tell myself that even till this day, and just continue to be the girl that you always have been. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I may have been quiet, and I think I learned a lot, right? 40 years worth, right? With everything that I've been through, and, fight for the things that you want to fight for. Sit back for the things that you think is okay to sit back for, but fight for those things. Be loud. Who gives a shit? No
Yeah.
one cares. At the end of the day, like, why care what a stranger thinks? Do I care what my neighbor thinks about me? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know you like that. At the end of the day, like, I care about the family of what my family thinks of me at the end of the day. I don't give a shit what the guy down the street thinks of me. And that's the thing that I learned the most. Stop caring what people think. Why? Why is that rabbit hole going like, for what reason? No reason at all. I think life is as good as it can be right now. Am I going through struggles? Absolutely. Will I go through struggles 10 years from now? Probably different ones, right? We're always going to go through something at the end of the day. And it's just take it day by day. Go through life. Go through the roller coaster. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm just riding that roller coaster until maybe I'll get to the end of that tunnel and I'll be safe. Finally, like I could be at peace. But right now, womanhood, you know what I mean? It is what it
Yeah.
is. Keep it moving, live life the best way you can. Try your best not to be so serious, it's fine.
Yeah.
You'll be right. You know what I mean? Like, I think, and I'm not talking about generation, but like, there is a generational thing, right? Where, people are able to control their feelings more than others and things like that. But, at the end of the day, like, don't bog your brain with shit that does not need to be there. And that's how I feel. Don't bog your shit with nonsense, fill
Yeah.
it with the things that matter. And go from there, so,
Love it.
but I'm good. I'm good. I'll be all right.
You know, one thing, the last thing I'll say is I think what I think about when I would talk to whoever I was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was a new mom. And I always laugh and I say that I obviously, my kids, I would never tell myself, if you told me, if I told myself at 20 or 23, you're going to have two, you're going to go through all the stuff to have them, to keep them, to take care of them, I would have been like, okay, sure. But the reality is there are a couple of things I would tell myself that some people say, well, that's a little controversial. And realistically, I would tell myself, don't get married. And knowing what I know now, I'd say do things differently. Have your kids, but focus on you.
Yeah.
I spent so many years focused on other people, focused on their needs and their wants and their mental health and their feelings. And I got nothing but drained. And I think if you're going to do that, it's going to be for your kids. It should be, right? And even then, you have to find that time for yourself. Nobody teaches us this stuff. You don't know this stuff. You're just going day by day. And if I had listened to my intuition twice, I would not have gotten married twice. And I think about, if I would have told my 20-year-old self that, I would have told my 23-year-old self that when I was pregnant with Natalie. I would have said, he's going to propose to you 3 months later while you're postpartum, by the way, and emotional. You don't want to do it, but the whole idea is a wonderful thing. You'll do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And it's those ideas to sit there. I would say to myself, stop giving to those that don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is you are not getting anything in return. And all it's going to do is leave you drained, alone, and tired with years of therapy bills. And the reality is, I don't regret those for a moment. And I do regret other certain things, but if I had to look back at myself, that would be the main thing I would say is stop giving to those who don't deserve it, because you're never going to get that time back. And now I'm at the point, like, if you can't come at me more than I'm coming at you at this point, you're not even worth my time. Like, you're totally not. We could be in each other's life. You could be a friend of mine from afar. Whoever you are, I'll wish you well. I will never wish bad on even the worst person I can't stand. I don't wish bad on you, but I don't have to be near you. I don't have to be around you. I don't have to give you my energy. And I think it's really important at any stage, but especially at this stage when we have some of those lessons behind us, to be able to be clear about what we expect now from that second half, really, of our lives, whatever that may be. Ladies, I thank you. I love you all so much, more than anything, for being on here. Do any of you have anything else you want to say before we close?
I do. I want to say that I feel super inspired by each of you in your journeys and hearing your stories and hearing about your resilience. I think that it is so magical and powerful to connect with other women. Sometimes, yeah, we can read things that are happening, and in passing we joke about, our perimenopause, but going in deep about these things and having these conversations feels less lonely. And I think for the listeners, hopefully they'll have that same impact, even though they don't know us personally. They might be able to identify with each of us in a different way. I know that I feel that
Agreed.
way about each of you. And, I'm coming out of this feeling like empowered. I feel
Yeah.
like it solidifies my own feelings and my own way of thinking even more. And I thank each of you. I thank you, Teresa. I thank you, Gina. I thank you, Evelyn. I thank you for this conversation. And I thank you for the opportunity to share this with the world, Teresa. So thank you. Thank you for bringing us together.
Oh, thank you. And I love you. And I've always thought of you as an inspiration. You know that. I've told you for years. I'm like, I see some of your struggles and they make mine seem silly at times. And I think that's because we sometimes see pieces of ourselves in other people, and we say, it's perspective is really important. And, being able to see other people, not just for face value, for who they are. And I have been blessed to have each and every one of you for, for our entire lives, whatever capacity we have, because the reality is there's so many people that don't have anybody, so I truly, truly thank you all. I love you all so much. I think at some point we are going to have to do a part 2, because Evelyn, listen, I know you've told me, but I'm not gonna lie. We got to tell that birth story, because that will shake up some people.
If
You want
you
to put
want a
that?
serious,
Yeah.
birth story from the beginning and end, let me know. I got a good one for you. I
Yeah,
could write a whole book.
this is what I'm saying. Like, this will really shed some light on some of the shit that people don't know and don't understand, and ways that we have to be more aware of what's happening in our bodies and our lives, and listening to ourselves. And each and every one of you have been advocates for your journeys, for your health, for your life, and for amazing, accomplished, educated Latinas. Let's put that out there for real. Who
That's
all look
right.
different, sound different, act different from, and we're here, and all of us have different afflictions, but also blessed beyond anything that we could ask for. So all of the listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. I'm always reached, or can always be reached, at proseccoqueens@gmail.com. This will be out on all podcasting hosting sites, those kind of things, and on YouTube, and you'll get to see us and contact us as well. And all of our information or anything that we need will be on there also. And I thank you all profoundly, and I love you, and thank you.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys.